live at the Richmond Coliseum for the second semifinal of the Sun Belt Conference Championship. Sounds like it should be a doozy, with Virginia Commonwealth last night winning its 20th game of the season against the Monarchs, looking for their 19th. Now, to meet the players who will be starting for both teams, let's go to our public address announcer, Hunter Elliott.
A most cordial good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Richmond Coliseum for the finest in Sun Belt Conference basketball. This afternoon's second game of semifinal action features the visiting Monarchs of Old Dominion University and the homestanding Rams of Virginia Commonwealth University. Introducing this afternoon's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Old Dominion Monarchs, at one forward, a sophomore standing 6 feet 7 inches from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, number 21, Anthony Carver. At the other forward, a 6 foot 5 inch senior from Bowie, Maryland, number 33, Steve Trax. At the center position, a 6 foot 7 inch junior from Chesapeake, Virginia, number 42, Garrick Davis. At one guard, a senior standing 6 feet even from Alexandria, Virginia, number 15, Frank Smith. And at the other guard, a 6 foot 3 1/2 inch sophomore from Hampton, Virginia, number 24, Darren McDonald. And the head coach of the Monarchs, Tom Young. And now for the VCU Rams. At one forward, a 6 foot 8 inch senior from Charlottesville, Virginia, number 35, Phil Stinnie. At the other forward, a 6'7" senior from Brunswick, Virginia, number 32, John Thompson. At center, a 6'6" senior from Birmingham, Alabama, number 52, Bruce Petway. At one guard, a 6 foot 3 inch junior from Sumter, South Carolina, number 30, Vince Wilson. And at the other guard, a 6'3" junior from Washington, D.C., number 45, Chris Cheeks. And the head coach of the Rams, Mike Polio.
There you have the starting lineups. We're set for another exciting game coming up here at the Richmond Coliseum, the final semifinal, coming right after this word from Meineke. Back at the Richmond Coliseum, we've already met the players who will be starting. Let's take a look at the officials who will be handling this semifinal contest. Don Ferguson, John Wright, and Don Rutledge. Set to call the game between the Monarchs and the Rams. They have met already twice this season, and this is one reason why we anticipate a pretty good ball game tonight, Jack. They've both been close.
Bill, they have, and the reason they've been close is Old Dominion's been able to stay with them on the boards, and I don't know how they do it, but they have been. If we look at the series history, of course, it's been a close series. Old Dominion has a slight edge, but if we look at this real stat, we look 39-29. That's a big gap, but the real gap is in offensive boards, and Old Dominion is going to have to keep them off the offensive boards. There's nothing subtle about the Virginia Commonwealth team. They just bang it on the boards all night.
This is not a finesse ball club, as we see Bruce Petway jumping center with AC Anthony Carver for the Monarchs. We're underway. The tip controlled finally by McDonald for the Monarchs.
We look at him and we realize what a key player he's going to be tonight. He is probably the hottest player in the tournament in terms of playing above what he has done so far.
He spoke last night very accurately, I think, about the intensity, the focus of purpose of Darren McDonald.
Good pass inside, good lob over.
And a good basket by Garrick Davis, who gets the Monarchs started with a 2-0 lead. We are just underway here at the Richmond Coliseum.
Yeah, nice 11 last night, played solidly. They had a tough night. They didn't get to bed till midnight. I don't mean to repeat it too often, but we'll see how well they can come out of here.
Stinnie, not bashful at all, puts it up from the three-point line. It's taken away now. John Thompson with it to Stinnie low. That's where he likes to operate. He can't get it to fall. It's Chris Cheeks with a follow-up. And as Jack Marin just mentioned, the Rams go to that glass.
And Cheeks has been really their leading scorer against Old DU. He's had 22 and 31 in their last two outings. There goes Steve Trax. They need his jumper out there for sure.
Trax was a key in getting the Monarchs started last night against Western Kentucky with 3 early three-pointers.
A little cha-cha in there.
Yep. Shuffle the feet. Bruce Petway.
Catch it, Bruce.
Called for the travel. So the turnover goes to the Monarchs.
Well, I tell you, what a contrast, Bill. You look at the Virginia Commonwealth team, you look at the two teams we watched play the first game, play such a terrific game, and they played both with such speed and such no size. Then you look at, boy, where's the beef? Here's the beef right here.
It's all at VCU. Tom Young mentioned to us at halftime of the previous game his concern about the fact that his guys don't match up physically, but there's Steve Trax beat the Rams defense on the baseline 4-2. A 4-2 Old Dominion lead where in the opening minutes.
That's good for Trax to get going here. I think you have fatigue problems. As I remember, the fatigue either bothers you early or it bothers you late. Usually in the middle you tend to forget you're tired, but down at the end you can't forget you're tired. So this team, if they can stay with them early, is still going to have a real struggle at the other end. Virginia Commonwealth, as you remember, had a relatively easy win, although pushed a little bit by South Florida, but they had a relatively easy win and had the early game. So they have a real solid rest factor on their side.
Davis got clearly pushed from behind by Petway, but there's no call, and the Rams come charging back. Cheeks drives, puts it up.
Again, they don't handle Cheeks well at all.
It's a tie game. Chris Cheeks has all 4 points for VCU. A blocking foul charged here.
Good call, good call. Vince Wilson just sliding with him and then stepped in his way.
Now Wilson looked pretty slick last night for the Rams as well.
We're going to see it from up top here. Just a good move again from Darren McDonald, who will be a factor in this game, and trying to slide with him and stay with him is Vince Wilson.
That will be a challenge, won't it?
Yes, it will.
McDonald looked terrific last night. Here's Trax. Smith goes baseline to Davis. Trax at the foul line. Steve Trax.
He's on track.
Tough to resist that one, isn't it?
He scored early last time and kind of got last night, and then became reasonably quiet when A.C. Carver picked it up in the second half for him.
17 to play, 6-4, the Old Dominion lead. Thompson thinks about it. Decides not to. Cross court to Cheeks. 3 points? Nope. Drives.
I think Tom Young uses a lot of defenses, and he's gone to his zone right now, and I think that's a key thing for him in terms of fatigue.
There was contact. I'm not sure that it was Vince Wilson, the guilty party. Might have been Petway, but either way, McDonald got hammered. Take a look here.
What a good move he makes. Crossover. They've got a reach-in foul in the backcourt. It was not Vince Wilson, I know that.
Tom Young with a pretty good record at Old Dominion, but of course he has been among the most successful coaches in the college game for years and years, and all his other points along the way.
I think it's on Chris Cheeks, who has all 6 VCU points.
Yeah, the foul charge to Chris Cheeks.
It's funny when you got a guy like Chris Cheeks, he gets a foul here early, and nothing to really worry about, but he has been a guy who likes this ball. It's like watching a golfer who likes the course they play on. Cheeks matches up well here, obviously doing the job he did, getting 22 and again 31 earlier in the season.
Right. And he is the guy, should anything happen to Phil Stinnie, should he get in foul trouble or injured or be off for the night, much of that scoring burden's
got to pick it up
naturally to Cheeks.
But he does agree, he averages 17.5 a game, so he's going to get a lot anyway. That's a real good number for anybody.
McDonald with a pair makes it an 8-6 lead for the Monarchs.
When I see a fault with Phil Stinnie, I see that he can go cold reasonably well. He gets a lot of shots and he keeps his average up because he'll get on the boards with the offensive boards, but he doesn't shoot as well as he looks like he can shoot.
The call goes the way of the Rams. Good hustle though by Darren McDonald. Get his hand in there, and the Rams, Jack, kind of guilty just standing around.
Well,
Mike Polio certainly doesn't like it. Doesn't like the looks of it now.
They're going to set their offense here. Again, they're still in the 2-1-2 zone, basically.
Although Polio has to feel a little bit better about the way the Rams have started this game compared to last night's game. Boy, did they start out cold against South Florida.
I know. I'll tell you what, I'm beginning to be a believer of John Thompson's 15-footer. They let him go last night for a couple, and they let him go here, and actually he made it over the hand this time. he likes the shot, and he apparently can shoot it. He certainly shoots it with confidence.
Yes, he does. Now, on occasion, he has been chastised somewhat for taking that shot, but I believe, as you do, that he has some confidence in it. Thompson calling for it again, and he'll try it again. Stinnie, Cheeks. They pull it back out with a 45.
Here's their offensive boards. They all stay in there on the boards.
How is Stinnie so wide open? Makes no difference, though, and then Stinnie tries to make up for it and wisely backs off. Old Dominion looks deep. The Rams recovered quickly. 8-8, 15-25 left to play in the first half. Tracks. Frank Smith, who makes the Monarchs go. Gets it low to Carver. Tough to stop there. AC makes it a 10-8, 2-point Old Dominion lead.
We don't see the kind of pressure that Mike Polio would like to have from the Rams. They lost key players, and they like to press, and they're not pressing as much as they used to.
We'll see some of that press before this game's over, though, you can be sure. 3 for Vince Wilson, and the Rams take their first lead. 11-10 VCU.
Same move he made last time, got the foul again. Vince Wilson looking around here says, I don't know what he's saying, but I think maybe what he's saying is, I can't handle him right now.
It can't be me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And as a result, Vince Wilson sits down. Lionel Bacon comes into the lineup. Lionel Bacon wearing number 24 for the Rams, or rather 34. He is a 6-foot sophomore from Louisville and gets a lot of playing time for the Rams as well, averaging 7 points on the season. For Old Dominion, the fresh legs belong to Bernard Royster, number 34, a 6'5" junior from Baltimore.
They call him their super sub. He does a heck of a job. He's been in double figures the last 9 outings. He did not have a big night last night.
And double figures season long off the bench.
Yeah.
And there you see the tie broken by Darren McDonald, a 12-11 lead for the Monarchs. We'll be back with more first half action after this word from JP. Good crowd here this afternoon in the Richmond Coliseum. You see how it's been filled up nicely. Of course, you'd expect that. VCU's home court here, where the Rams have been pretty successful over the years. Not necessarily successful from field goal shooting, however, so far in this ballgame. Although, Jack, as you pointed out before, that's not VCU's game. It's just getting a lot of shots.
The key in the VCU 5 of 10 is that 4 of those misses come from Phil Stinnie, who's one of their people, well, their key player, really. Remarkable about this building, it is really quite a neat building. Red brick interior, beautiful dome, terrific building.
I don't believe there's a bad seat in the house. We certainly have a couple of the better ones. Phil Stinnie on the baseline.
0 for 5. John Thompson, no, not me. I didn't go for it. But he did. But he never is going to catch. We're going to watch him go for it and see what VCU does so well. They pay the price. They foul a lot. They have 200, 250 more fouls than their opponents across the season. They just bang it. I don't think Mike Polio ever complains when somebody gets a foul for going over somebody's back.
Coming down to 4 minutes left in the half, 14 rather, left in the half, and the Monarchs working on a 1-point lead, 12-11. They maintain possession. The Rams hustling after that ball, though. Try to break up the pass. Smith, Royster.
Haven't seen Frank Smith do much of his magic in terms of managing the team. He's a guy they count on to do it.
Garrick Davis with a nice move, but a little bit too strong.
A little tripped over his own feet, I think, and couldn't get it up.
Lost his balance. The Rams come back. Going initially, as virtually will be the case almost all the time, to Phil Stinnie. Cheeks. That's Bacon on the wing.
I'm going to say this thing about this fatigue one more time because I'm bringing up a statistic that blows your mind. They had 3 players last night, Old Dominion did, who played more than 40 minutes.
Oh, tough shot by Chris Cheeks. He was fouled, still got the shot off. Pretty well hammered, it looked like to me.
I wish you wouldn't cut me off in mid-sentence with great plays like that. What a good, tough play it is. You see, it just takes a pure physical strength right here. Just forced it through the hands. I don't know necessarily he got fouled because the hand looked like it was on the ball, but he was able to push through and probably made a little contact across the arms after that. Cheeks has 9 points right now, 4 for 4 from the line.
I know how you hate to see these guys making great plays when you're in the middle of a good throw.
It's really talking well, and there he goes. Just
Substitute now, the Rams, as you'd say, the fatigue factor could be important because the Rams have that habit of shuttling in a lot of fresh legs throughout the course of the game. New man now, Derek McGee, the sophomore, the interception by Stinnie.
He had him open. He just didn't get enough on the pass. It's like underthrowing a wide receiver.
So McGee now operating at point in place of Bacon.
And the fans want VCU to break this thing apart here, but I don't think they're going to get it from Old Dominion.
Whoa, John Thompson. He went up with authority, but had a lot of company, didn't he?
And I have to believe that the Charlotte fans are going to be pulling for ODU, Old Dominion.
I think that's a pretty good guess. Take a look at this one.
Here, just power. There's a guy who was at NC State for a while. Decided he would have a greater fortunes here, and I think they wanted him to be the small forward at NC State. He wanted to play big forward. You can understand why.
John Thompson at the line. It's the first of his two. It's 15 play. VCU leading by 3. That's John Thompson. Shooting about 77% from the free throw line. And flipping it with those two.
Gets about 10 points a game for him. 8 rebounds and does a lot of work for him.
There you see Martin Henlon coming in at center, replacing Bruce Petway. And again, the Rams lose nothing in the category of beef. And Henlon comes in at center. He's 6'10" and weighs about 255.
Well, Lionel Bacon, I don't know how he ever got on this team. I mean,
he looks normal.
Yeah.
He looks like just kind of an average guy. The Rams have a great deal of definition. Looks like they work a lot of time with the Nautilus play.
Donald made a terrific play, got a good shot in the middle, took it all away, and he just didn't get it to go down.
Cheeks fakes it. Back out to McGee.
Another offensive board.
Another try.
Well, I tell you, we watch that rim. The ball really comes off those rims hard in this game. And it has most of the evening. The ones, of course, you hit the front, it's going to come out wrong. But once you've been hitting the back, it's done that too.
Good recognition by Henlon. Gets it low to Thompson.
That's a classic play. It's a Boston Celtic play. They post the guy up. They go to the wing. If he gets fronted, they pass it to the top of the key, and then they bounce it down to him when he's got the guy pinned on his back. Classic play. When you're as strong as Thompson, it's easy for you to run it, too.
Carver tried for 3. It's not there. Henlon with a rebound.
I think that's his first shot. He does like it out there. They're going to need to hear from him tonight.
Stinnie. Need to hear from him. Henlon bats it around. They play volleyball. Thompson follows. Yes. John Thompson now with 6 consecutive points for the Rams.
They're pounding it inside right now. And
20 to 12. VCU's opened up a lead of 8. That's as we pass the 12-minute mark in the first half. This is kind of a surprise. Royster. The foul will be on Martin Henlon.
In some ways it'd be surprising because certainly the emotional level of both teams is very high. But if they cannot manage them underneath, if Old Dominion doesn't do what it did in their previous meetings and manage them underneath, well, it's going to be a long night for them. This team, VCU, has come on strong late in the season. They've played very well, and they've found their secret. And to belabor it again, their secret is to just put it up and go after it, and put it up and go after it, and they do it so well.
Substitution now. You see Donald Grant coming into the lineup for Old Dominion. And there's Bernard Royster, the super sub.
They may need to get a little bit more, again, from their bench, although they don't use bench much, this ball club doesn't, but that is something that really weighs heavily when you played a late game the night before. You need some bench, and they just don't use bench.
Royster's second shot is good. It's 20 to 14. The Rams lead is 6. They'll be working on that with the basketball when we come back. Stay with us. So far, Jack, it looks like one of the keys certainly has been that offensive advantage off the glass.
Well, you watch the rebounds and you see 7 to 4. Virginia Commonwealth has the edge, but where they really have the edge is on second chance points. They've got 6. Old Dominion has none of them, and that's the difference in the ball game as we see the graphic right here. They just bang the boards.
A 6-point lead for the Rams, 20 to 14, and 11:39 left in the first half of play.
Dick Vitale may be looking at some of these guys for his, well, maybe, is it all Windex team or something like that?
Clean the glass. Both teams getting back out on the floor. A little bit of a discussion on the sideline there between Tom Young and the officials.
I knew Dick Vitale when he was just a nice guy. Now he's a nice guy, but he's rich and nice.
Also returning for the Monarchs, number 20, Donald Grant.
Old Dominion, I believe, was trying to get Darren McDonald back in the game and could not do that. So Grant remains in the game, and McDonald will come in at the next timeout.
Yeah, they couldn't put him in because no time had gone off the clock.
Royster tries for the steal. Stinnie dishes off to Thompson. And there you go, Phil Stinnie, one of the assist leaders for the Rams. Thompson, the leading scorer so far. He now has 8 in a row for VCU.
And 10 points on the night, and they're going to him. I think that's really intelligent. It's to say that it's a little silly, but if you got somebody who's hot and he wants it, just get it to him.
Thompson is hungry, and he has shown the ability to score, although he has not been a big scorer most of the season for VCU. His biggest effort has been off the glass, as was the case there. Stinnie stops, puts it up. First points for Phil Stinnie, 24-14. The Rams leading by 10.
Fatigue hurts different people different ways. I'm watching A.C. Carver run up and down, and he's been banging with John Thompson all night, and he doesn't look like he's into this game very well. He's coming out here for the shot. He's been slow up and down the floor. He just looks a little tired, more so than some of his other teammates.
Now, Jack, if that fatigue really is a factor here, and Old Dominion gets behind by 10 or 12 points, it becomes that much tougher.
I'd say sure, if they have to chase, if they've got to chase, it's really a problem. They were really a good pressing team at one time, and they lost Terrence Raycrow, and they don't press nearly as much anymore. They just don't have enough bodies. As we said, the lowest man on their starting 5, the lowest minutes they played with 37 last night.
Royster and Grant sit down. Trax and McDonald back at the lineup for ODU. Stinnie low to Thompson again.
Same game. That's a 10. That's a 10. He's got it going.
The basket's good. You can count it. 26-14. How about that?
John Thompson is making his mark, and Mike Polio is very happy. Just strong, good move. When they say A.C. Carver standing underneath, he just can't handle him right now.
Monarchs need a basket desperately. Carver, McDonald. McDonald would look like the man. He drives, and there's contact.
Boy, he does the same move time and again. He gets you shaking going right, makes the big crossover, makes a big lateral move, and gets the position on you every time. Terrific play.
No shots, though. This was before McDonald went up. So McGee is charged with the foul for the Rams. McDonald gets no shooting opportunity.
Take a guy like Darren McDonald, he had such a big night last night. He's just thinking about, boy, what a personal effort, what a personal thing can be for me. I can put myself on the map here tonight. Of course, I know he's thinking about his team, but those thoughts do enter your mind as a player, as an individual, too.
Trax to McDonald. Nice pass. Back out to AC to Smith. Trax for 3. McDonald.
Terrific defense from VCU. Terrific defense.
Stepped on the baseline. The turnover. And here VCU, you see, is fired up. Old Dominion, Tom Young's the coach at Old Dominion, trying to get his guys to do something. Got to make something happen here.
Yeah, their 4th turnover against only 1 from VCU.
26-14. We're past 10 minutes. Halfway through the first half of play, and the Rams opening up a 12-point lead already. This could be trouble for the Monarchs. Stinnie again. Couldn't decide. Looked like he wanted to go up with a shot initially, and then was looking for Henlon down low, I believe.
Well, the thing that's happened, though, is Mike Polio has found the weakness. Again, to use a football analogy, has found a hole to go through. And right now, John Thompson just has got the edge on his man, A.C. Carver.
There's McDonald trying to cut into that advantage. He can't. Cheeks with the Rams running. It's 4-on-3. Gets it to Thompson. Pretty pass, but then it's taken away.
Nice pass, Darren McDonald. Terrific stripped him.
McDonald with great defense. McGee knocks it away. Back to the Monarchs. Carver tries from 3. No, a little bit short. The Rams hustle for the rebound. Strong to the glass. And again, they're running. Stinnie stops. Bang.
Finally, Phil Stinnie finds it. They're going to put the pressure on the speed, too, right now. They say, let's turn the tempo up right now. We got them down by 14. Let's stuff it to them. And Tom Young does not want this to happen. And this, of course, is the classic timeout. He just had to do it.
Got to talk about it. 28-14. The Rams with a big lead. Back live at the Richmond Coliseum, where the Rams have opened up a lead of 14 points. That's kind of a surprise. Jack, I don't know if it's an advantage with fatigue. They're fresher, they're stronger, but they're clearly getting the job done down low.
Well, they found a guy who could do it, and he really is doing the job. Number 32 is going to get a rest right now, and a well-deserved rest. He's got 14 points. Transfer from NC State is really making his mark for this VCU ball club.
You see, last night he had 8 points with a half dozen rebounds when they banged it around with South Florida. The Rams on a tear. 8:20 left in the first half, and they've opened up a lead of 14 points against Old Dominion.
Well, Thompson did it in the middle.
This guy could bring back the Monarchs in a hurry, but he doesn't dare. The Rams batted around, and I believe it was last touched by McGee. Old Dominion gets another opportunity. And boy, the Monarchs need some opportunities here. And they need to make a few.
Their defense is a little scattered, too. They're just not handling VCU's zone very well.
Not as intense as they appeared to be last night in that victory over Western Kentucky, the overtime by a deuce.
Well, the only way they're going to do it, they kind of got to pull them out of it and hit some of the three-pointers, or at least in that range. They can make some jump shots, and they're just not able to do it. They try to force it inside, and they lose the ball.
The Rams with a break again. Cheeks changes direction in the lane. Great try by Cheeks, and then this is the way things are going for the Monarchs now. AC has the rebound, and it bounces off him out of bounds. Tom Young calling for an over-the-back foul. He won't get it. You can see how concerned Tom Young is with what's going on right now. John Thompson, after that brief rest, is back in place of Lionel Bacon.
Just enough to stop heaving. Tom Young's problem is he doesn't have anybody to go to, really, in terms of bench.
Looked like Henlon kind of had his hand on someone's back, but I believe it's just a 5-second violation. The Rams tend to get away, I believe, with a lot of physical pounding down here because they're always laying the body on somebody.
That's a very good point. All the officials, even listen to some of the officials and things they write and everything, talk about how certain teams have certain styles and they accept it. And one of those styles is to, like you said, lean on people. And they certainly have adopted that as their style.
You see Cheeks leaning on Frank Smith, and then Henlon comes up with a reject.
Of course, it'd be something to try to see those guys playing on the other, playing finesse basketball, wouldn't it?
They don't do it very well. Henlon gets the block, and he gets the body too. Martin Henlon, 6'10", sophomore from Birmingham, England.
You see a lot of all the pushing and shoving in here, leaning hard, reaching in, stripped him of it. Darren McDonald picks it up, uses his body, protects the ball, and a 252-pounder leans on it.
Substitution, Lionel Bacon back in the lineup for the Rams. Henlon sits down.
Here comes Bones Bacon in here, only 170 pounds, playing with 237, 218, 252, 218 again.
Talk about the nice job on that last sequence by the Rams to bat the ball away. But how about Darren McDonald to get it back and get this opportunity at the free throw line? He fails to cash in on the first of two. Misses them both. Then going for the rebound, Davis carries it back to Carver, to McDonald. Up ahead to Trax. He ought to back up and fire.
Trying to slow it down a little bit, play a little tempo maybe, but I tell you, the pressure is pretty good, even from they've gone to man right now, and the pressure's still pretty good. They don't want, I'm saying VCU does not want to see tempo slowed down right here. Trax has got to hit this shot. It's not even close.
Now, what you like from an Old Dominion standpoint, if the Rams have gone a little bit cold.
That isn't cold, though.
That's not cold.
That's a hot three.
Bacon warms it up there. It's 31-14.
Same move McDonald makes, doesn't get it again.
Tries for three, and he fails.
Well, there's a huge fatigue factor that is really taking its toll.
Stinnie, and you can see now the Rams coming down with every possession, and their confidence is building and building and building.
And I watched Tom Young at the top of your screen going, just slow it down, let's play some tempo. But he doesn't have a lot of weapons going for him. They haven't got a hoop, I don't think, in the last 5 or 6 minutes. They're really just don't have it right now. And Tom Young doesn't have any real weapons on the bench.
You see how little time is left in this first half. Just 5.5 minutes to go, and the Rams leading 33-14.
He does have one, and he's gone to him. He's got Bernard Royster, who is really a quality player and can help make this team go. He did not play many minutes last night, and he is fresh.
Another personal foul, this one charged to John Thompson. That is the 7th team foul for the Rams. A.C. Carver, interesting to see his reaction there as he drove, and he was fouled, hammered pretty good, and he'll go to the line and get the free throws, but still he was kind of shrugging his shoulders as if to say, my gosh, there's nothing I can do to make a shot fall. Derek McGee checking back into the lineup for the Rams, and Thompson sits down, this time perhaps to protect the leading scorer for the Rams so far in this game. See if VCU can get some point production from other sources. There's Thompson on the bench.
Well, they've got a lot of people they can go to. Solid, deep team. But any number of people sit on the bench, get a handful, 4 or 5 points. Ronald Bacon, Henlon, McGee, Lou Bryant comes in, puts the beef on you.
Carver gets them both. The first points the Monarchs have scored in the stretch of over 6 minutes. Here's Cheeks down the floor for VCU. Bacon, McGee, Cheeks, they pull it out. Gonna work a little off the clock, I believe. Take their time. Make Old Dominion work on defense.
When you think of the things that have happened to VCU so far, they really have well, I want to say the luck of the draw, because they put themselves in position, but they really did get a good draw in terms of when they played, what happened in the games last night. They're on their own floor. They've got all the edges.
All right, now the Rams had a little bit of trouble getting the ball down low to Petway. He was open momentarily. Stinnie could not get the ball to him in a place where he could operate. And look at that field goal percentage. Wow. Isn't it any wonder the Rams are leading? 33-16. Less than 5 minutes to go in the half. Working around the perimeter. Looking for someone open for 3, perhaps. Could be Carver. Could be Trax. Rams playing the good D. Not giving up much, huh? Not at all. They double up down low. Cheeks comes out running. Out of the gate fast. Back to Cheeks. Back to Stinnie. Good job on defense by Darren McDonald, breaking up the alley-oop pass to Stinnie.
Again, I think he's got a little spark left, and I'm not saying they don't have spark left. And here's a guy they ought to get in to make Royster take over on the offense a little bit. He's got the fresh body out there.
McGee kind of moved in underneath Anthony Carver.
It is not an easy night for AC.
Not at all.
Coming in there, he's going to get tripped. He's going to make good. Has good position. The lob over is perfect for McDonald, and he doesn't have any place to land.
And it's tough, Jack. It's got to be, as you know, to get any rhythm going, to establish some momentum for yourself offensively when these guys are hammering you at every move, every time you turn around.
Here comes Mike Brown again, 6'6", one muscular guy.
Trax sits down again on the Old Dominion bench, and in his place, Garrett Davis returns. Anthony Carver, 1-1. Now that's the good thing for Old Dominion. If they can hit the free throws, they're in the bonus, so that the Rams' pattern of fouling and laying the body on could take its toll from the scoreboard.
Well, they do. I tell you what, I said it the last time I watched the play. I'll say it again. They really don't care. They want to be. If they don't have more fouls than the other team, they've done something wrong. Mike Polio's going to come in and chastise them for being, well, wimps, if you will.
They break the press fairly easily and then pull it back out. Michael Brown, junior college transfer. Petway, a jumper that's well off the mark. Brown there trying for the rebound. It's out of bounds off Old Dominion.
Yeah, again, Brown stayed in there on the boards, made a good play.
And again, Tom Young would have to think that maybe he got robbed in terms of the call. He's certainly on the short end of the stick as far as the score goes. We'll be right back. Here you see some of the faithful for VCU assembled here.
A lot of them, a lot of them.
And they're enjoying what they've seen so far in the ball game because in part of the Rams' success from the field.
We look at that Look at 4 field goals in the whole half, 22% from the floor. And I tell you, Tom Young could call a timeout as we look at the rebounds here again. VCU doing what they always do. But Tom Young called a timeout, but he can't coach his team, Bill, in how to make the hoops. They've gotten good shots. They've taken a couple bad shots, but in general, they've got shots that they want. They just can't get it in the jar.
Seems to me a lot of those shots are coming up a little bit short, Jack, and wouldn't that be a telltale sign again of possible fatigue?
Well, that is a telltale sign, certainly. But in general, just poor shooting is something that is often found. When your legs aren't there, you don't shoot it well.
Well, there you see Lionel Bacon looking pretty fresh with a
Every time we talk about their shooting, we see somebody from VCU drain the big one.
VCU successful on the three-pointer, gets the strip, passes to Stinnie. Nice move. Oh, pretty play. Bacon and Stinnie working the fast break to perfection.
They go up by 20 real early.
38-18.
Something you said a little bit earlier, Bill, too. It is very hard under these circumstances to bring it back. How can they be difficult? They got to pick up there. They got to find some shooting for one. And there's a guy they need to get off is Bernard Royster.
They go down low instead to Davis. Davis can't get it to fall. Had what looked like a fairly easy shot. Cheeks 3-on-2. Stops back to Cheeks. And they'll have to pull it up as the Monarchs recover on defense.
They're just playing with a lot of confidence right now. Of course, it's easy to be confident when you outscore the other team by double. But they had a chance on a break and they just didn't force it.
Stinnie, Bacon. Bacon went to the glass, as you've said before. And he sent everybody.
Yeah, Bones Bacon went in there. I don't mean to lead anybody to believe that that's his nickname, but yeah, I think he did. Stinnie takes the long bomb, comes off the glass, climbing, almost a good play, but he really was over the back.
Yep. You didn't see it perhaps as well from that angle, but it looked like he was on the back.
He probably gets a credit for something, a meal or something from Mike Polio for climbing somebody's back. I mean, I'll tell you, Polio does not want anybody who won't go to the glass.
At halftime now coming up, we'll hear again from Jeff Mullins, the head coach of the victorious UNC Charlotte 49ers, who'll be joining Gary Sparber at Sun Belt Center. This is Frank Smith. Good on his first of 2 now. 38-19, 2.5 left in the first half of play. I'm sure Jeff Mullins will have a few interesting things to say about the VCU Rams, certainly, and the prospect of playing them the way they have looked so far in the first 2 games of this tournament.
It is not going to be any fun, especially if this game ends up to be another easy game for them, because UNC Charlotte, as you noted, has had 2 tough ball games.
21-point advantage for VCU.
VCU looks like they want to end this one early. Tom Young is looking over there, and he's trying to figure what he can do to stop it.
The frustration, the frustration of knowing you could use the 3-pointers, and it's VCU that's pouring it on with a 3-point basket.
Well, I think VCU kind of feels like in many ways, though, that this is their tournament, that they want it, it's in their building, and they're not going to be denied it. They almost won a couple of fist fights last night with South Florida. Even in an easy game, they were almost in a couple of fist fights. They really want it.
Here you get a good idea of what Jack Marin and I see when we're sitting here in press row. Martin Henlon seeing the basket pretty well. 43-19, a minute and a half left in the first half of play. 43-19, Darren McDonald. And he's been all but invisible in the first half.
Well, it's a shame. He's actually made some terrific moves. He just can't get it to go. It's almost a shame to see him play under these conditions. But one of those conditions is a very inspired Virginia Commonwealth team, Bill. Now they're going to pull it back out. They want to go in there with a 20-point lead is what they want. That's kind of a magical number.
Coming into the last minute of the first half of play, the Rams operating on a lead of 22 points.
They don't want
Henlon going for one more? No. Shuffled his feet.
One of the things they've got is they got a 22-point lead, and if Tom Young can go into the locker room and look at say a 15 or 16-point lead and say, okay, listen, we've come back, we can chew off. He's got a storyline for his ball club, but what they don't want to do is give him a storyline. They want his storyline to be, we're down 22, and I'm not sure that we've shown the spark we need.
The Rams showing some spark defensively, but it's off Bacon. And the Monarchs maintain possession. 39 ticks left in the clock for this first half. 43-21.
And basically without Phil Stinnie doing much at all.
Yeah, Stinnie was cold to start with. Tracks back in. You don't think they'd be looking for a three-pointer here, do you?
No, certainly.
Old Dominion needs
certainly looking for an 8-pointer.
There he goes, Steve Tracks. Hey, finally hits one. 24.
They cut it to under 20, which, as I said, is kind of a magical number.
So the Rams now operating with 20 seconds to go. Trying to get it back over the 20-point mark.
Trapping and chasing Old Dominion, something that they like to do a lot more and wish they could.
Not a great pass by Cheeks in that one.
No.
Although it didn't cost him. You got to think that Old Dominion in the second half, if Anthony Carver, if Tracks can get on track in the second half from behind that three-point circle, could bring the Monarchs back.
They do have the people to do that. They are, and Tracks getting one here late in the half can help too. And if this doesn't go, it helps, and it doesn't go. So
No basket.
They got it back. They got it under 20, and Tracks got a jumper. AC Carver can find something, Bill. They can bring it back in here.
But this crowd is cheering for the VCU Rams. The home court advantage favoring them along with other things. 43-24, the score at the half. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Sun Belt Center. You see the score, 43-24. Homestanding Virginia Commonwealth on top of Old Dominion. Gary Sparber, along with Jeff Mullins, a victorious coach of the UNC Charlotte 49ers. It'd be one thing if Byron Dinkins had scored 38 yesterday and 29 today and led you to victory, but really they were character victories that you've come up with, true team efforts.
Well, I think I was real proud of our team, Gary. You know, being the regular season champion, other teams are really going to gun for you, and I think we've seen that with Jacksonville and with South Alabama. They were ready to play. They played hard. We had a lot of respect. I thought our kids played hard, but we haven't shot well either night. But that's kind of tournament basketball. Defense tends to take over when you get to this time of the season. And during the regular season, if we shot 37% like we did yesterday, I wouldn't have thought we'd have won. Even 45 is sometimes not good enough, but because of the character, because we played good defense, we hung in there, and I thought we did a good job rebounding, and then we were able to win it at the end.
Now, the obvious question, VCU looking very good today. They beat you twice in the regular season, beat you badly in the regular season finale here. Do you have to do something differently against them if you meet them in the final, or is it just playing better?
Well, I think we got to defense Stinnie a little bit better than we have. You know, against us, he's been the catalyst. He's gotten into too many gaps. He's made too many things happen. Plus, he scored himself. Other than that, I'm anxious to see if we play them. They've sort of had an emotional edge the first two games. We had won 4 in a row on the road. We were a little tired the first time. The second time, we had clinched the conference race. We're playing on their court. Even as coaches, we're torn whether we rest our guys or do we go all out. And tomorrow night, neither team will have that edge, hopefully, if we can get our kids the rest level up. So it'll be a great game, and regardless of who we play, I think our kids will be ready to play, and yeah, we'll work on a couple things if it's VCU, but not anything drastic.
If nothing else, if it is VCU, it'll be a chance to sort of take care of the one lingering thing from this season, which is that team.
Well, that's right. They've beaten us twice, and both of them rather convincingly, and so but I think our kids will be up to the challenge. We got something at stake this time, and it's going to be a physical game. You know it is whenever you play VCU, but as long as we can shoot and score a little better than we have these first two games, which I think we'll be able to, I think it'll be a very good game.
Jeff, good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you, Gary.
43-24 is the score here. 19-point advantage for VCU over Old Dominion, and we'll be back to the Sun Belt Center after we take this break. Well, a big second half is yet to come, and so let's go back down to the table and Bill King and Jack Marin.
Thank you very much, Gary. 43-24, the advantage for VCU now, and a key certainly if you're looking for them, and they're pretty easy to find, would one be John Thompson. His play has been outstanding in the first half.
Both he and Chris Cheeks have had very good first half games, but the point is they just have pounded away at them on the boards again. I wear those things out, but I will tell you that's their game. They've also, we're going to see some highlights, they've also outplayed them in many ways.
Again at the Richmond Coliseum, 43-24, the Rams leading the Old Dominion Monarchs in our second semifinal. Old Dominion huddling out on the court now after the shoot-around that completed the intermission. And you can be sure that the Monarchs are not ready to quit. They look from this juncture as if they are coming out of the second half with a great deal of resolve, which you would expect, especially when statistics in the first half did not at all.
Well, they got a long
Old Dominion.
vacation ahead of them, Bill. If they don't get it done, they're going to have to do something about shooting. And there's nothing you can't hustle your way out of shooting. You just got to start sticking it in there. 3-point goals. VCU's done a better job than they have in Old Dominion. That's their game. Their free throws, they're got a lot more free throws. I was going to make a point. There are 2 personal fouls on Old Dominion, 10 on VCU, 14 rebound margin. And finally, we're going to take a look at the turnovers, which really haven't been a factor. But I was going to say 2 personal fouls on Old Dominion, 10 on VCU. I think VCU says, I think the other team is going to run out of time before we run out of fouls. And that's basically their team philosophy.
Look at the scoring. Steve Trax with that 3-pointer has taken the lead individually for Old Dominion. The rest of it's some balance. Carver and McDonald with a half dozen apiece, but not nearly enough to lift Old Dominion.
Well, they are a team that prides themselves on balanced scoring. They just need a balanced scoring that's about 60% higher than what they've got right now. And they've got Thompson, who's just come on like gangbusters, Cheeks, who plays well against them every night. Phil Stinnie really hasn't had to do the job.
And in spite of those personal fouls, the differential team-wise, they're pretty well spread out for VCU. Nobody in a lot of trouble.
No, they've got a lot of bodies to throw at you. That's why they say that they won't run out of fouls before you run out of time.
Here come the Rams again, trying to add to that advantage. 43-24, a 19-point lead. We are just underway in the second half of this semifinal. Stinnie calls for it, puts it up, foul, goes down low to Thompson. And then Old Dominion stepping on the baseline. Darren McDonald. They hustled nicely, did the Monarchs, to get that ball back, and then McDonald steps in the baseline.
I always think that this type of flooring with that extra stripe in there, I think that is sometimes confusing.
A little deceptive.
Because you're watching the line with your peripheral vision. You're not watching it, so you see the big black area, you don't see the line so well. It's basically just blurs your peripheral vision.
It's been somewhat confusing for me. I'm not out on the floor. I'm static.
You have to stay inside the inside line.
Rams inbound. Petway loses it. Here comes Frank Smith. Gets it down to Davis. A nice play that we saw last night, and there's the result. Now the Monarchs are up and rolling.
Start running.
43-26. Now Frank Smith, that could be very much a key in the second half. If he can break free and start making that kind of pass, the recognition that gets the Monarchs offense on a roll, that could bring them back. Cheeks down the lane, pops back out to Wilson. His 3-point try is not there. The personal foul will be on whom? Looks like on Carver.
A.C. Carver. It was hard to see from this angle. Just a lot of contact underneath. You see that dumps it back out to Vinnie Wilson. Vinnie puts it up, comes off the rim. Almost like it was the second contact. Petway initiated contact, and A.C. Carver retaliated too hard and got the foul.
Again, Stinnie getting hung up with Garrett Davis. Now this is going to take...
I think what, excuse me, Bill, I think what Tom Young has said, listen, we have 2 personal fouls on it. Let's leave some blood out here, folks. If we're going to lose this game, let's bang with these people for a while.
With the advantage. They have plenty of time on their side, along with those 17 points now, 43-26. Look it over. McGee left open on the wing on this side. Down low to Henley, returns. A little too strong. Thompson there with the rebound, goes right up. And he's fouled.
There they do what they do best. They just keep pounding in there, and Thompson is just having a great game for them. I mean, he just outmatches his man so much.
Now, we're less than 2 minutes into this game, or rather into the second half, and Old Dominion has already piled up 4 team fouls. That's the second on Darren McDonald.
They've got plenty of those to give away. I think on the other end, as our statistician helped us out, we were talking about VCU being willing to foul. They've got 62 left before they lose everybody.
Thompson, his first is good. 44-26.
But they do have to, Old Dominion has to be willing to mix it up more with this ball club. They have to become more physical.
But you got to think if it becomes a question of physical, kind of a contest, a showdown, that VCU
is going to come out with a short and a stick up, but it's not true though. Their last 2 outings, they out-rebounded this ball club, so they can do it. It's just kind of funny how those things happen, but they stepped back, way back on the line. Marin's theory working again.
Steve Trax not happy at all. He's had several calls now, as you say, with that out-of-bounds problem. Both in this game this afternoon and the game last night, the quarterfinal game.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he stepped out of bounds. That's not because it was on a bad pass, and it almost cost him the game because it gave Western Kentucky a last shot. Thank you.
Glad to help. Lord knows you helped me out.
Lord knows I need it.
Phil Stinnie up top, goes to Thompson.
Look at the overmatch. A.C. Carver with Martin Henlon giving up 50 pounds. Now Henlon goes over. Garrett Davis is back.
Henlon right over the top. Here you see Martin Henlon. That should be his 3rd personal foul. The first team foul for VCU. The Rams leading 45-26. Here with 18:15 left in regulation. Left open is Trax, but he doesn't connect. Down low to Davis. It's a basket that the Monarchs really could have used.
Sure did. They need one of those two. Now they need the free throws. But you know, again, we go back to the free throws. I mean, the fouls, maybe if this team can hang in there, they can get back in, because we might see some of the other players from this ball club, this VCU ball club, play because of their foul trouble.
Good point. Now, Phil Stinnie takes a rest. He has been quiet in his first couple of minutes of the second half. But in his place comes Michael Brown. And now Steve Trax sits down for the Monarchs, and Bernard Royster returns to the Old Dominion. This is Davis at the line, shooting about 71%. He has 4 so far in the afternoon. This is the first.
I think VCU's not only quieted down the Old Dominion fans, but they've quieted down the UNC Charlotte fans, who I think would have preferred to play Old Dominion tomorrow night.
Davis cashes in on just 1 of his 2 attempts. 45-27. Cheeks comes right down the floor, operating in a hurry to Bacon, who buries it. The short jumper by Lionel Bacon. 47-27. The lead quickly back up to 20. And Old Dominion that time a little bit slow getting down the floor in that particular transition. Defensively. Now the Monarchs have the ball, setting up for a 3-pointer. Smith drives, instead pops out to Carver, who takes it.
Frank Smith really hasn't been able to make anything happen for his ball club. As good a quarterback as he is, he just really has good hands. He's good, steals the ball a lot. He just hasn't made much happen either.
There's one of those pro moves we talked about last night by Chris Cheeks. A pretty move, but then again, he took an extra step, which kind of gives you a little bit of an advantage.
Makes it easier. Elgin Baylor used to think it was a lot easier to get that little extra step.
Sort of skated. Frank hit Smith for 3. Way off.
We're going to hear the chants. Here comes the chants.
And then Cheeks
fumbled it, so that'll quiet down the air ball a little bit.
For which we can be thankful.
Yes.
The Monarchs get the ball right back, and Tom Young still pacing, still wondering how he can get his guys to make a few of those shots. And as you pointed out earlier, there's not much that a coach can do standing on the side.
Do it. No, sir. Just kind of read them and weep, I think, is what they said.
Royster splits the defense, drives, hops back to Smith, to McDonald. Smith. The open jumper is hit by Frank Smith, 47-29.
I wonder what's the thing with Royster. I don't understand. He ought to be really pushing his game a little bit. He's not. He's playing very passive, and he's the guy that's come off the bench so long as he sits there on the floor. We're looking at Garrett Davis walk around, but I think we're going to see Bernard Royster maybe get the foul. But in any case, Royster has really been the one that I think had to come on strong here tonight, and hasn't.
The foul charge to Garrett Davis.
Here, his hands full with Martin Henlon.
And now Michael Brown having problems getting the ball back up court once it was inbounded. So the Rams decide to take a timeout at this juncture with 16:51 still left in regulation, and the Rams leading 47-29. We'll be back to check the Monarchs as they try to rally. Here Here in our second semifinal at the Richmond Coliseum, you see one statistic that must be encouraging for Tom Young and his Chargers at Old Dominion.
Well, he certainly is, because as we said, he can't coach that, but he's got a huge turnaround there, going again only 3 or 4 shots, but it is a trend that, if it continues, can mean a lot to him here in the second half. It's about the only trend that they really have going their way.
Bacon again.
They're pressing like mad
by the press, but then the Rams get it right down the floor in a hurry to Thompson. Low.
That went right in front of Bernard Royster. He just wasn't watching it. Went right in front of him. Tough pass, great save, but it's going to be, might pay off the wrong way.
3 on 3. Stinnie. He's way short.
He got hit on the arm.
That would make it way short there. I guess that's one good reason. I didn't see that. Smith and McDonald playing catch up top. McDonald now, as you mentioned, he could be a key in the comeback if there is to be one. A little bit strong. Won't get it to go. 2 on 1. Stinnie and Cheeks. Cheeks fakes the pass. It dribbles off the rim. Pretty play, but he couldn't get it to fall. Smith the other way, running. Right to the hoop. Turns. He can't get it. The Rams come back. Now,
we just talked about the pick up their field goal percentage, and then they missed the next 2 to send it back down.
Cheeks, nice move to get it to Stinnie. The shot falls.
Those key possessions right there that get both of those field goals on this end, and don't let this fast break occur, which does, and there's a flip-flop of maybe 7 points here.
The reach-in foul charge to Garrick Davis. Stinnie with a good effort to get that ball up on the glass, and kind of a lucky bounce to dribble it through the rim. Phil Stinnie will be at the line. His Rams leading 51-29.
Royster, we have to see Royster off camera. He's just kind of not getting into anything happened. Stinnie pushed on back, didn't seem to bother him at all. He's kind of looking now. He's going to. It's just not the kind of play you want from a guy who is probably the guy that's supposed to give his team. He is the guy who gives. They call him their super sub, and he's got to come and give him a lift.
Not a lot of spark, I think. Yeah. What we're saying. Now Frank Smith trying to get his guys worked up. Tracks. Carver.
I don't want to be too hard. I mean, he was here till midnight last night like everybody else.
Royster kind of sighs in relief.
He was looking, actually trying to get it down low here and go at them a little bit more against Lionel Bacon, the only man of reasonable proportions on the VCU ball club.
And the foul is charged to Bacon. The substitution as Hemon goes to the bench. Bruce Petway returns for VCU.
Unreasonable guys. Bruce has he got some definition in those arms.
Bruce's pretty tough, isn't he?
Look at those arms.
Royster, there you go.
He had an injury earlier this season that Mike Polio was terrified, and they thought he might never play again, and injured his arm, wrist actually, and came back, and it's been a force for them. Garrick, he didn't touch it. Garrick said he touched it. I don't believe he did.
Here you see the 20-point advantage for VCU. That's with about 15 left in regulation. And the Monarchs have a ways to go if they're going to bring it back.
Picture here to see if he touched it. I think it's just that Garrick makes a good play, but there's no. Yeah, he just stripped it away from him.
Bacon inbounding for the Rams into the backcourt to Petway and gets it right back.
Nothing wrong with suggesting that he touched it to the official.
You got to try, right? At this point, the Monarchs have to try everything.
And they're doing it. They're going to their press.
Bacon. Pretty feed by Stinnie.
They come up with it. Yeah, here we go. Watch it. Oh, collision. Yeah, that's a good call. That is a good call.
Yeah, Derek McGee did not look as if he was exactly
Derek McGee just cut him off, gave him no room at all. It was a good call. Frank Smith, a very fair call. There's no way that this can be wrong. He just catches the ball. There's no reason he can take that position.
Smith a little bit slow getting up, it looked. But he's okay.
All right, yeah.
He's ready to play some more. Now you got to think about the seniors on this team, like Steve Trax, like Frank Smith, do not want to be playing their last game.
Yes, sir. There you go.
Smith, the 3, no. And it comes back out to McGee. Off and running. 3 on 1. Back to Stinnie.
Don't get back on defense.
Just lays it up.
On defense.
The easy layup. 53-31. This is not getting any easier for Old Dominion.
Look at him. He makes such a good move. He's taken. I bet she's got 8 of those shots. None of them will go.
Bacon finds Stinnie wide open. The rebound to Smith, to McDonald. Now it's 2-on-1. McDonald and tracks. He pulls up. Darren sinks it.
Phil Stinnie is not having a game. I don't think he shot really well last night either. And that is something that, as you may look forward from this game,
does not bode well for the Rams tomorrow. Right now, it does look like the Rams have a spot on the championship round assured, leading by 22 with the basket by Stinnie there. Phil may have heard you. Stinnie with a little pull-up jumper.
Take it, Bernard.
Royster gets everybody up in the air and slapped pretty hard by Stinnie.
You know, I think maybe I figured something a little bit out about Royster. And the problem is that Royster likes to play with his back to the basket a little bit, a lot actually. And the guys he's got to play to the back to the basket with right now are mountains compared to him. So it may not just simply be the type of ball game that suits him very well.
Phil Stinnie gets a nice hand as he heads to the bench along with Bruce Petway. Getting a rest, save those big guys for tomorrow night's ball game. And back into the lineup for the Rams, Martin Henlon.
Although Royster, as he stands there on the line, has done reasonably well. Had 11 and 13 against them in the prior meetings. He's only got 4 right now.
Thompson and Henlon and Cheeks in front. Bacon and McGee in the backcourt for the Rams. Royster hits his first. 55-34. Royster, you see, averaging those 11 points off the bench for this season. 5 so far tonight, make it 6. 55-35, the lead back to 20.
Gerald Lofton's come in the game in the backcourt. He's standing in the backcourt. He's a center, and he wasn't back far enough and got victimized right away.
That's the way to break the press.
Yeah, he got sucked up on a fake pass, and then the Cheeks went the other way on him and got the easy hoop.
The Rams doing virtually everything the right way.
Henlon leaning on him.
Except there.
Yeah.
But then that's not going to cost him a whole lot.
He's still got 60 more before they all foul out.
Foul on Martin Henlon. That would be his 4th personal foul on Henlon.
Here's how you break the press. Good pass by Martin Henlon. Gets it out to Derek McGee and just up court for Chris Cheeks. 2 passes.
Complete 2 passes and the ball never hit the floor. No dribble there at all. Henlon did a nice job, as you mentioned, getting that ball out to the middleman on that break. Bacon and then down to Cheeks. Now Donald Grant back into the game for the Monarchs.
Shot out of his hip.
Shot.
Out of his hip pocket, he made it.
Tough shot. He got up in the air and kind of lost control of the ball.
They're going to go press and see what they can shake loose here. They just need 3 or 4 turnovers or something.
Got to do it.
But this doesn't.
Gets the Rams back at the other end. Thompson spins on his man, puts up the jump hook. It won't fall. But he was hacked. 57-37. It's got to be a question of Old Dominion, I would think, as you mentioned again, not to wear it out, but the fact that they were just up so late last night.
Well, you can't get into their bodies with them, but they have done a better job with this ball club in times past. They had no reason to suspect that they would, as we watch Steve Trax come back in the game, there's no reason to suspect that they would have this kind of ball game against them unless there's a what you might call an extraneous factor. And I think the one thing, you can't again get in their bodies, but they played late last night. They played to say it once again, they played an overtime ball game, and their starting 5 played 37, 38, 42, 43, 42. And it just, that's a lot of time to play in tough pressure situation. You don't get any sleep. You go to bed. You don't fall asleep till 4 or 5 in the morning. It throws your whole rhythm off.
Thompson gets his shots.
But that's not to take anything away from Virginia Commonwealth, who is playing as well as anybody in this league right now. And UNC Charlotte, who is the #1 seed, will have their hands full with this ball club tomorrow night. They will have to play an extraordinarily good game to beat Virginia Commonwealth.
It would appear that VCU, as we would judge from the last couple of contests between the Rams and Charlotte, matches up to its advantage as far as man-to-man.
They basically have the same kind of size that Old Dominion has here right now. And,
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte does. And they have been beaten on the boards any number of times this year. Oddly enough, they're able to win when they get beaten on the boards, but they haven't been able to do it against Virginia Commonwealth. The last game I saw them play in Charlotte against Virginia Commonwealth was a real interesting situation, because the thing I pointed out to you, the things that trigger your mind to think a certain way, they almost did run out of the fouls before Charlotte ran out of time. Charlotte came back at him and almost caught him at the buzzer, but didn't. And they banged Charlotte unmercifully all night.
Now they're beating up pretty badly on Old Dominion. Bacon doing a nice job to try to keep that ball in the forecourt. Vince Wilson tied up. Great pressure by Old Dominion. He gets it to Petway. I'll tell you, I'm not so sure that I would want to get in there against Bruce Petway to try to mix it up.
Well, you see that Donald Grant gave the foul and then ran 30 yards the other way.
Let me get out of here. That's right. Petway right up on his feet again, but he's Donald Grant's one of the first guys that I've ever seen knock Petway off his feet.
We watched Tom Young here. He just looks like he's almost a certain amount of resignation on his face. And I think he probably spent a long night last night. I talked to him. He was doing a little piece with us earlier, and we talked to him. He said, we didn't get out of here till 1:30, or actually we didn't get in bed till 1:30 after dinner, and that's dinner at 12:30. I had Mexican food at 12:30 last night, and here I am.
And you feel tired. Petway at the line makes his first. Frank Smith back in, and Trax sits down. And we have another substitute ready to come in for the Rams, and this will be in place of Bruce Petway. And it would appear that the motivation here on the part of Mike Polio is to keep his guys fairly fresh for that championship game tomorrow. It's nice that he has that luxury, the opportunity to do that.
Well, he doesn't want this game to sneak away from him either and end up in a tough game in the next 10 minutes.
Now Vince Wilson just stood his ground on that, and Grant came right down the lane and banged into him.
And all these yellow banners are waving and everything. He made a terrific play. Good, we're going to see it again right here, going straight at him. Looks off. There's nobody to look off to, so that Wilson wasn't fooled by anything. He said, who are you going to pass it to?
Wilson had it sized up pretty well. And then VCU has taken the measure of Old Dominion in a team sense that way all afternoon.
I'll tell you, as we watch this game come down the end, we know that people in this conference had a chance to see some quality players in Frank Smith and Steve Trax. Trax, winner of a sportsmanship award, co-winner with Phil Stinnie, which I think is just absolutely terrific.
Stinnie goes right to the basket.
Stinnie, he's won some other awards as well.
62-37. The Rams lead with 11:43 left in the game. 62-37. Lead of 0.5 for VCU. Going for that second berth in the championship round. There's Anthony Carver, who has been very quiet here in this semifinal game.
Now they'll hear talk about him. We'll hear a lot about him in the next 2 years for Old Dominion.
He's a tough kid.
He's quite a player. Average 15 points a game. Freshman of the year a year ago. Terrific player. Just a tough night for this team.
This will be Chris Cheeks. Cheeks, one of the junior college transfers brought in this year by Mike Polio to bolster his squad, give him some depth in the year to come, because he will be losing Phil Stinnie and John Thompson from the starting five. Lou Bryant tied up down under. We get a call for a jump ball down low. And Thompson, just like that, is back in. Bryant sits down. 62-39 is the score we have here. VCU seems to have it under control, and we'll talk some more about the possible matchup in the championship round when we come back. Well, Jack, after Old Dominion came out with authority in the first few minutes of the second half and shooting pretty well, now you see that the Old Dominion Monarchs have kind of cooled off a little bit since that time. And how about that? Had a chance to say hi to your mom and dad.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had. It's my fourth game here in 2 days. It's been grueling, but I have enjoyed it. I tell you what, this is some terrific basketball. The Sun Belt has an absolutely marvelous field. We're going to have a great championship game tomorrow. And I think it's got to be said that Virginia Commonwealth will be in it, although as I look at Tom Young at the top of the screen, watching one of his young proteges who's going to make a big mark in the league, can't say his name, Darren McDonald. He's got a bright future ahead. I think Tom Young could really be proud of the fact he goes from 6-22 last year to 18-10 this year. Does a great job, 9-5 in the conference. There's nothing to be ashamed of. He just got a bad draw.
Boy, Stinnie got hammered his first time up, and then when he tried to get the rebound, he was chopped again. So he'll go to the line now, shooting 1-1. 62-39 the advantage, as we're under 11 minutes left in regulation. Now, if the Rams continue and move into that championship round, they will also be continuing a string of 7 consecutive years that the team that's had the home court advantage for the tournament has made that championship final in the Sun Belt.
There's something funny about that, though. They haven't won very often, have they? I think maybe have lost the last 3 or something. I may be wrong about that.
No, it's been pretty evenly split. If it is VCU tomorrow, you know Charlotte's going to give it a good try. 64-39. Bruce Petway back into the lineup for VCU. Bacon sits down. And McDonald tries to operate against Vince Wilson. He does.
Now watch him make that move. He makes it every time. I think as people see him play more, they're going to come to understand he does that. Of course, he looks like a player who can create something else, but he really basically comes at you right-handed, then bounces over into his left hand, and then jumps back in with the jumper. And it's a play that is very difficult to defend again, but you can become accustomed to it.
Now Stinnie could go on a real binge here if he matches up.
Stinnie is a guy who has a lot of different options. He can shoot it outside. He goes to the hoop well. He runs the floor well. He will be a lot to handle for the 49ers tomorrow night.
And that time he was just, Darren McConnell was just overmatched trying to defend Stinnie. Stinnie went right up over him. 6'8" versus 6'3", 6'3.5". Substitutions again now. Wilson sits down. Bacon's back into the lineup for VCU. McDonald will be at the free throw line. Some quickness in that Old Dominion lineup with Grant, Smith, and McDonald. In the backcourt, Davis, who fills the lane nicely on the break when he has the opportunity.
Darren having another double-figure night for his ball club.
But he can't connect on that one. 66-41 remains the score. Stinnie fakes the pass, fakes the shot, kicks it back out.
Mike Collier wants to play a little time here, but Chris Cheek said, I want a shot.
He got the shot.
Nice play.
Nice pass to Royce.
That doesn't go. Go back up.
What's the call? The call against Virginia Commonwealth.
That's Lionel Bacon.
It'll be against Bacon. You're right. That's the third personal foul of Lionel Bacon.
See again, good pass here by Darren McDonald. Underneath, Royster makes a good move. It's hard to believe it doesn't go in. Comes back up with it. Usually that call goes the other way when you follow your own rebound in and there's contact. Usually they call it the frustration foul on you, but he got it that time. And of course, he had a little bit better position. Usually you're climbing over somebody's back in that situation.
Royster looks good in that free throw, but boy, he has been struggling, as have his teammates in general from the field. 66-42. Just under 10 minutes left in the half. Make it a 23-point lead. 66-43.
Old Dominion keeps up the press.
Cheeks.
They managed to flood back and kill the fast break opportunity, so they're staying with it. They're just too far down, I'm afraid.
I think it's a good bet right now with 9:30 left in regulation.
Well, we look at it, the last 6-7 minutes, they played them about dead even.
Here's Stinnie's favorite.
That's not good enough. You got to start making up some ground.
68-23. The lead back up to 25, and Tom Young gets the tee, and he may be gone. I hate to see that. Tom Young fired up, and you can understand why. A lot of frustration, but it's boiling over right now.
It seems to me that that probably didn't just come out of this game, although he knows that that the team that he played against plays such a physical game, but they've certainly called their share of fouls against Virginia Commonwealth. But I think that's frustration that may come out of something that has gone on maybe long before this game. I know nothing about that, but I mean, you see the contact. McDonald really forced the contact on that play.
But you can see what Young's point was, that Bacon was moving his feet at the time of the contact.
Yeah.
So Young is upset about
but it was not. It wasn't an absurdly bad call, though. No.
23 points so far for Phil Stinnie. He makes it 23 again. And now he gets 2 more free throws. The technical foul.
Something that Tom Young can do in a game he's out by 26. It's something he would never do in a situation where he was really in a close fight.
to 43. 71 to 43. The Rams
25 points.
30-point mark.
25 points, 5 for 7 from the line. Another good night for Phil Stinnie. On top of last night's game when he really didn't have to do much. Of course, tonight they had to early.
Incredibly, Old Dominion stuck at 43, still there. Stinnie comes across the half-court line.
They're still digging and pressing, too.
Wow. What a disappointing way, if this turns out as you might expect. Last game of the season for Old Dominion, it's going to be tough. And finally, Royster gets it away, goes for the jam. Much doubt about that one. 71-45.
They're going to chase. 3-on-1. Cheeks is not going to be rattled, I don't believe.
It's knocked away. No double dribble there. And then he's doubled up and fouled by either Grant or Royster.
A scorer knows to hang on to the ball under this circumstances. He knows he's going to get to go to the line.
And Chris Cheeks knows he's a scorer. He pointed out to us last
ball up. He was going to wait. They're going to foul me. I'm the one they're going to foul.
71-45. Cheeks will have the opportunity to add to that with a free throw or 2. The personal foul charge to Grant is his 3rd. Not that it may make a whole lot of difference. Steve Trax coming back into the lineup. Again, were he to catch fire, were he to start hitting from long range, which he is certainly capable of doing, that could get the Monarchs back into it to some extent. 71-45 with just 8:46 left to play. Cheeks with the opportunity to add to that.
That's his 15th point, but boy, he had like 8 or 10 of those in the first 5 minutes of this ball game. He's been really quiet since then, but he hasn't had to be.
Chris Cheeks gets the first at 72-45. The Rams certainly look like they have this one under control, going for the berth in the championship. Back live at the Richmond Coliseum, where the home court fans have certainly been entertained by the home court show of Virginia Commonwealth, which over the years has been pretty tough on this court, winning about 78% of the games it has played on this floor since it opened in 1972. There you see Tom Young, who has now suffered through a couple of losses on this court in the last 3 years or so that he has been with Old Dominion as its head coach.
Get a little statistic here. They have 1 for 10 in their last 6 minutes. Only 3 points for Old Dominion.
That's not a way to stage a comeback.
No.
Not when you're in this kind of a hole. 72-45. After that timeout, Cheeks missed the second of his free throws. Now there.
Trax has only had, I guess, he's only had 4 or 5 shots that I can remember, and that's somebody who really had to get going well here. Here's a 2-on-1 break. Chris Cheeks
Cheeks again.
Looks him off again. It looks him off again, but almost didn't get it.
74-48. Cheeks gets his. On the fast break, tries for the rebound. Harbor fights for it. Good job by AC.
We just heard in the last 2 times from 2 of their key players who just really haven't gotten on track, to use that word again. Steve Trax and AC Carver, people they had to count on, but just didn't have it tonight.
Maybe that timeout will help. Maybe the idea is thinking in. Listen, you just got to reach down at this point. Can't just quit. Bacon goes to the hoop. Nice play by Lionel Bacon. Just got to step on his man and went blitzing right down the right side of the lane. Puts up that running right-handed hook. In off the glass. 76-50. 7:30 left in regulation. Well short. Ball comes down to Petway, out to Bacon.
And they'll just kill some clock a little bit right now. Save their energy.
76-50. Old Mike Polio's been doing that too, I think, in the way that he's been using his players. Good defense, but it doesn't pay off. Cheeks gets it now. Down the lane. Nice move. Whoa! Whoa! Big time move by Chris Cheeks.
You better have that break here. You better have that one on a replay.
Save that.
Getting a little show here late in this game.
That'll cut it to 78-52, but that's not a whole lot of cutting, is it?
Well, that was the all-time double clutch right there.
Cross court. Stinnie finds Cheeks again.
A broken backboard.
Oh! Thompson going for the layup instead of the dunk. And that gave Davis, I think, the opportunity to go in there.
Davis has just left the game with that foul. He made a good play. He did not like the call. We'll see what happens. He does have to come with some power. He's got... I might have to agree with him on that play. He really was well up in the air. He had a good shot at the ball. He didn't have any, wasn't close on the body contact. I think maybe Garrick Davis is sitting down a little too soon right now with 5 fouls.
Davis fouls out with 6:42 left with 5 points, 4 rebounds. Pretty quiet night for Garrick Davis, but then there's not been a lot of contribution. Taking a look now, Jack, it looks to me like
he takes the big swing,
and
it continued through there and really did chop him.
He got him on the arm. John Thompson with an opportunity now, adding to his point total for the game. That makes 19 on 6 of 7 from the field. What a job by John Thompson. He has been a stud out there. And 8 of 8.
Cedric Ball and Mike Washington are going to get that matchup tomorrow night. I don't think Dan Plunky's going to get that matchup tomorrow night for the 49ers, but they're going to have their hands full. This guy is charged up. He feels confident, feels strong.
The Rams' #1 man, the horse, goes to the bench. Phil Stinnie. He leaves with about 25. Thompson's still in there.
Tell you what, UNC Charlotte is really going to have to be on their game, and when I say on their game, they're going to have to be sticking it. They can really shoot it, and they're going to have to shoot it well tomorrow night.
As we look at the free throws here on the personal foul charge to Bruce Petway, which is unbelievably his first personal foul. I say unbelievable the way he played. But listen, Jack, let me ask you now, can this possibly be a negative from VCU's standpoint to have the win by 22 last night to be leading by 28 tonight? Is that possibly a disadvantage going in any manner of speaking at all?
I think you probably could find one in there if you look hard enough, but I cannot imagine that you don't, that this team, Virginia Commonwealth, I guess you could say they could become overconfident, but you don't go into a championship game where the NCAA tournament may be on the line and the like. You don't come in there overconfident, and I doubt this team will do that. The other thing is the type of ball they play, where they just, all they have to do is be aggressive like they always are and bang the boards, play their inside game. They don't have to necessarily worry about having a bad shooting night. That's the nice thing that they have going for them.
That's true. The last couple of games in the season, including the tournament, the steal hurried back by Mike Brown to McGee, behind the back, nice, picked off by
Frank,
Smith.
nice. One of the leading steal players in the steal makers in the league, leading assist all-time SBC. He's come for another one.
Jump ball, tough call by Mike Brown, but there's a case where Brown just wasn't hustling to the ball, and Frank Smith was.
Frank Smith is. Quality career he had. Top 5 in steals this year, all-time leader in assists. Ran the show for this team for some time.
Now that's a good question. Why would you put in Phil Stinnie coming back into the lineup when your club is leading by 26 here with just under 6 minutes?
If you're asking me, he may be close to his career high, but I don't think he's got 24, 25, and I think 34 is his career high. So I don't think that's the key.
They certainly don't need a whole lot more points, and I would be worried, as I think you mentioned in one of the games last night, about a possible injury to a guy like Phil Stinnie.
Well, I think that's true, although right now they're in a situation where he wants his team to get a full workout, because I think he believes his team's going to need it tomorrow night, and he doesn't want them to have less than a full workout.
Ball comes down off Wilson, out of bounds. It'll go back to Old Dominion. Harvard looked like he had good position, but then Wilson just sliced right in there.
Yeah, VCU, there's some risk you run with that, but the other side is that Stinnie doesn't look tired. He wants to play.
Yeah, he looks pretty fresh, but then when you're working on a lead of this nature, you kind of hide the fatigue.
Yes, exactly, and you don't have to dig all that hard either.
Wilson. Around the rim and out. Petway from behind. Now Petway working the way you would expect, making his presence felt in more ways than one. Over the back, Petway.
Nice putting Chris Cheeks back in here as well. And here's a guy I know wants to get back in this game.
Boy, he loves that ball on the offensive end of the floor.
Certainly does.
Cheeks plays good defense though too.
Well, he's a fine player, but he plays well against this ball club, and he likes to play.
All right, now Stinnie sits down once again, gets a good hand again from the fans here.
There goes
Bruce Petway goes back to the bench.
He's going right to the weight room. Keep those muscles going.
Yeah, you wouldn't want him to get soft.
That's right.
Henlon's back in, working with 4 personals. Cheeks back in. And Carver back in the scoring column again. 82-55. AC, first of his 2. Nice shot at Anthony Carver, who, as you mentioned, will be back again next year. He's just a sophomore and has done so much so far in 2 seasons for Old Dominion. Thompson having some trouble getting it in. Good defense by Old Dominion. That kind of a press has troubled the Rams frequently throughout the season. One would think that at this juncture they would be getting used to it, operating against them. Although it has not caused a great deal of problem for them this afternoon, they've solved it in most occasions. Henlon down low. Can hold on to it, loses it out of bounds. Nope. It's off one of the Monarchs. Carver, perhaps. Tom Young settled down now after that technical foul, double technical. 82-56 is the score. VCU leading. John Thompson goes to the bench, gets a good hand. Going to the bench with those 20 points.
Huge night for him. He set the
Terrific shooting for Vince Wilson with an easy bucket. Open layup for Wilson. He won't miss many of those.
Here goes down left, coming down right, coming left.
You got him solved.
I got to figure that out.
Well, let's see.
Martin Henlon with back behind the back. You don't see him on your camera, but you wouldn't believe Martin Henlon going behind his back at 7 feet 1, 250 million pounds. Big guy.
And now he
plays hard.
Right.
And now they bring in
Petway sits down. Petway, another one of the seniors on the VCU squad. A starter at center gets a nice round of applause as well. Good pat on the back from head coach Mike Polio.
Mike Polio's letting his players take curtain calls now, I think. It's maybe a bit premature. They have one more they have to get tomorrow night. They certainly played well tonight, and they do deserve the round of applause that they're getting.
A little over 4 minutes left in the ballgame. 84-57.
It's interesting. You look at Virginia Commonwealth and the draw they had, and they were supposed to handle at least the first team reasonably well. They did. They did a good job here under the circumstances. You got to give it to them for coming out and doing what they should have done under the circumstances.
Let me ask you this: as we watch the Rams solve that press once again, Cheeks kind of leans in. Gary Sparber and Vic Bubis, the 5-second call called against Cheeks. Good defense. A little bit of discussion there between Cheeks and Donald Graham. The officials suggest that Don maybe settle down a little. All right, Gary Sparber and Vic Bubis talking about the bid situation as far as the NCAA is concerned. An automatic bid for the champion tomorrow night.
Well, it couldn't be better for the conference. The 2 teams that had the chance to get in the NCAAs are in the final, so it really couldn't be better for the conference.
Carver's basket making 84-60, but now it's 86-60. The Rams come right back and answer. All right, the automatic bid for the conference, but then the possibility of a second team getting a bid at large. But what about Old Dominion? That second team will not be Old Dominion in the NCAAs. Are the Monarchs good enough, do you feel, to think about an 18-11, the possibility of going to the NIT?
I cannot speak for the NIT. I watched the good team here. They have not had a good night. The 2 teams that I think are really are tournament bound and have really a chance of being in the NCAA, regardless of the outcome tomorrow night, are those 2 final teams. But it's a very tough choice. I talked personally with my old coach, Vic Bubis, and he said it's, he was very candid about it. He said that the NCAA people have a real difficult choice. He says, I think we're making their choice more difficult for them because we have 2 really high-quality teams. But there are a lot of decent teams and good teams in this country.
You saw Chris Cheeks go to the bench and take his curtain call, so to speak. Steve Trax comes back in. Darren McDonald sits down, and he ought to get a round of applause. I'll tell you, the way he has played and hustled in this game, not always with a great deal of success, but he's really been tough.
Well, he got the shots. He pushed the offense. He got the shots. He's getting a little talking to right now by Tom Young. I think a little consolation is what he was getting. He is not unhappy. Watch him sitting over there. This game certainly didn't go the way he wanted to go, actually any of their players. But I think he's taking it particularly tough because of such a big game he had last night with 27 points. Darren McDonald will be back.
Carver steps back out for A.C.
Carver.
Good job, Trax. Step out behind the circle.
Trax will be back.
Knocked the ball away momentarily from behind, and now under 3 minutes to play. Rams pull it back out. Work off some of that shot clock. And another substitution will be coming in for the Rams. It'll be a guy we have not heard from so far in the tournament, I believe, Eric Alford, a freshman. Due to check in at the next opportunity. Bacon dishes off to Wilson, another uncontested layup. Tough to miss those. 88-60. Rams by 28 points. That's Grant for three. Three-pointer, two.
I watch Mike Polio's team, and I think it's interesting. I think he's going to be a farm for the NBA in some ways because he tends to get the players, the big, strong players that, of course, the pros like. You look at the Charles Barkleys of the world, and you find them, they look like a lot of these guys. Or these guys
man with the ball right there. Lou Bryant dribbles one in. Yes. Lou Bryant scores.
Lou needs to get away from the table a little quicker, though, I think. He's carrying 10 pounds he doesn't need to carry.
A good shot of him right there. He scored the last basket, making it 90-62. The Rams very much in control. Just a minute 42 left in the semifinal, leading to the Sun Belt Championship round. Back live at the Richmond Coliseum, where the Rams have had it just about all their own way here in front of the home fans. And looking at Old Dominion, there you see the Monarchs assembled coming back onto the floor. Boy, this has been a tough loss in so many ways. The worst loss that the Rams have taken, indeed, if it remains at this margin, in the conference.
They had all the factors going against them, though, that were pretty much not under their control.
Well, they played so close in the first two meetings against VCU.
They have to play them on their own floor under fairly adverse circumstances, and it just wasn't to be. But yeah, on the other hand, Virginia Commonwealth is probably playing, I would say, better than anybody in the conference right now. At least on a par with UNC Charlotte.
Sure looking pretty good in the last 2 days. Interesting also that most times when you would get Mike Polio and ask him about his team's offense, he would tell you if its score is up in the 90s, we're in big trouble. But here they've scored 90 points. Old Dominion has not been getting its shots to fall, except there, of course, by Steve Trax. Most of the afternoon, Old Dominion has struggled offensively, and the score up 90-64. VCU leading by 26.
You look at VCU, they got Stinnie had 27, Thompson 22, Cheeks 19, Bacon got 10. If you look at the other side of it, A.C. Carver 15, Trax 12, McDonald 10, Royster came on, got 13. Jack, they're just not, the numbers aren't high enough for them.
Jack, we've talked about the shooting percentages here on the floor, but I'll tell you some guys who have missed virtually no shots all weekend long so far. And that's the production crew from Creative Sports Marketing. They've done just a super job in giving us the pictures here.
Bill, they've done it on pictures, they've done it on stats, they've done it on keeping us where we're supposed to be, and I've been delighted. Here's the semifinal winner, I think we could say. 26 seconds to go, 90-64. And they're standing on their feet as they do from time to time.
Rams enjoying every second of this one. And now waiting in the wings, 49ers from UNC Charlotte.
Be a good game tomorrow night. I'll tell you, Charlotte is going to have to be able to handle them somewhat on the boards. They're going to have to have a much better game from Byron Dinkins in terms of him hitting the shot.
We talked about that. Byron does not seem to be too happy with the way he has been shooting the ball in either of the first two games for Charlotte. But Jeff Mullins, you heard him, the head coach, he really expects that those bad shots are out of the system, so to speak now. The 49ers will come back tomorrow night for the championship round against the Rams. Final 20 seconds. 90-66, the score. Alfred, or rather Brown, trying to get on the scoreboard himself. Brown follows it up.
Bill, I've certainly enjoyed working with you certainly, and Gary Sparber, who's been my partner for most of the season in my rookie year in this business, as we look at Mike Polio telling me to come over and, I don't know, is he talking to me?
Yeah, I think he is. It's kind of late for you to get into ball games. By the time you laced up your chucks, I think time would have expired.
It has been a good year for me, and I've enjoyed getting back into the active part of college basketball.
Mike Brown still struggling, trying to get in the scoring column. 90-66 with 14 seconds left, and Brown cracks it. That's his first of the night. 91-66.
If I can thank my producer, Bray Carey, I will, and I'll get off the subject.
Clock ticking down. You see it there. Final 5 seconds. Ball trickles out of bounds. Old Dominion with one more opportunity. Old Dominion looking with resignation on the final 3 seconds of the game. Backboard tap. Ball just kissed the backboard as it was tossed in.
I understand that Bray Carey is emotionally overcome in the production floor.
And you can see why. McDonald with the jumper at the buzzer. 91-69 the final score. Virginia Commonwealth University defeating Old Dominion, goes into the championship tomorrow night against UNCC. For Jack Marin, this is Phil King saying good night from Richmond.